Welcome back to the All In Show. Now, unless you've been living on planet Mars over the last 2.5 years, you can't have missed that we are living in extremely turbulent times right now, possibly the most turbulent for almost a century. What is happening across the planet right now is truly unprecedented. Well, what if there was a way to predict the future? This is exactly what we are looking at on the show tonight. We are taking a look at astrology. Whether you believe in it or not, tonight's guest is all about explaining how the planets can help us gauge what we are moving towards in our lives on both a personal level and on a global scale. This is someone I've spoken to before, so we continue a conversation that we started at the beginning of the pandemic. His name is Deva Nirguna. I hope I said that right. And I spoke to him via Zoom and is based in Guatemala. Loads of links to more info on Deva and the original conversation are found below this video. So let's take it away. Over to Deva. If you can introduce yourself, first of all, and just tell us a bit about yourself and a bit about how you've come to be reading the planets and astrology.
Well, my name's Deva Nirguna, and I live in a very strong place. I live at Lake Atitlan in Guatemala. This is the view. I was going to show you the view, but okay. I live at Lake Atitlan in Guatemala, which is a very strong portal here in Guatemala, and I've been living here for 20 years. But I've been studying or looking or feeling my way through this language of astrology for more than 50 years.
Wow.
And I think the basic principle that I want to point out here about astrology and why it might work, and it is a language and I speak the language very well, is that it's our connectivity to nature in a very deep sense. And if you feel that you're connected to Mama Nature, our view from Earth here is our astrological view of the stars and the rest of the heavens. And it's a science in a sense because we measure cycles and planets. You know, you definitely live under circadian rhythms. There's cycles to everything in life. And when we're looking at astrology, we're really looking at, the astrological clock in a sense. It's like a cosmic weather clock. And strangely enough, on a clock, you have 1 through 12, if you remember what they look like. And we have 12 signs. So you see behind me here a diagram of planets and signs of zodiacs and chakras, a very advanced planet diagram. But the 12 signs represent a kind of an archetypal energy, the 12 types of energy. There's four elements. Each sign is either earth, air, fire, and water, and 3 qualities, active, fixed, or mutable. And those give us the 12 kinds of energies. So on this clock face, and each of us has an individual one called our birth chart, there's movement, like the moon goes around the 12 signs every month, the sun every year. And these are Mars, 2.5 years. These are our personal planets, there's fast movements of them. But when I'm looking at world situations, I'm looking at the slower moving, bigger planets that set up the big overall tones of things. For instance, there's a planet called Pluto, which we discovered, which takes 250 years to go through the 12 signs. So it's a generational planet. I'm born with Pluto in Leo. There's 20 odd years of us. Set up tones for a generation. It's not visible. Saturn is visible. Saturn takes 28 years to go around through the 12 signs. So every 2.5 years, it's in a different sign, a different tone. Think of it in terms of music and tones. So we called COVID because Saturn and Pluto met in Capricorn, and we went, that's a shitstorm. Knowing in the energy of Capricorn. And this is just a language. It's like, if you can read the scores of music, you can listen to Beethoven's Fifth in your head, and that's the kind of facility I have here as an astrologer, is to read the music.
So you're able to see or predict the kind of essence of future events, judging by you can read the alignment of the planets and what they're going to be in the future, and you can predict what world events are going to play out.
We've been looking backwards, for instance, and we can see what happened before when these things happened, so there's prediction involved in it. But for us, it's more a sentient thing. It's like a tone. You can feel it. For instance, Mars has been stuck in Gemini since September and will not clear until March. What does this mean? Well, first of all, when Mars gets stuck in a sign, it's like two cars on the freeway going along at the same pace. Mars likes to go through a sign in like 6 weeks, 10 weeks. But it's been stuck in Gemini. We've not been overtaking it since September. And Gemini is this air sign about, should we do this or should we do that? I'm the twins. Can you tell me about what should we? And look what happened. Look at the British politics. We've had how many prime ministers in this time? We don't know what we're doing. It's just backwards and forwards. Let's put an economic power. No, let's take it back. This is exactly that kind of weather pattern of Mars being stuck in Gemini. If you know that, then you don't get yourself into these silly situations where it's foggy out there, and it's still foggy out there. This fog is not going to clear until Mars starts moving forwards in the springtime.
It's funny you say that. Today in the UK, it's been really foggy the past 2 days. So the weather is representative, symbolic of the kind of world energy.
Well, it does, but on a bigger scale than that, Pluto and Saturn met for COVID, and they're both changing signs in the spring. So not only do we have this local fog lifting, but on the big weather patterns, Pluto is starting to move into a different sign, Aquarius. It's moving out of Capricorn. It will be in Aquarius for the next 20 years. And it doesn't do it just in one go. It's going backwards and forwards, Capricorn to Aquarius, for about 2.5 years. But March the 20-something, 9th, it's in Aquarius for the first time in 250 years. So we can look back and see what that was like before. It was the American Revolution. It was the French Revolution, right?
Well, you can kind of see we're moving towards. There's been a lot of social unrest over the past few years on a global scale, hasn't it?
On a global scale. This was Pluto upsetting orders in Capricorn. Capricorn is established orders of things. It's the third of the earth signs. In the first earth sign of Taurus, we plant seeds. In the second earth sign of Virgo, we harvest. And if we've had a good harvest in the third sign of Capricorn, we build our cultures and our cities from the surplus, our libraries of knowledge. So, and that sign of Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. We build, it takes time, our cultures, our understandings of things. This has been severely challenged by Pluto. So we're watching breakdowns of systems, national health system, this, that, and the other. Everybody got a timeout. Very interestingly, when the Buddhists do a retreat, a lifetime retreat, they say you go and do something for 3 years, 3 months, 3 weeks, and 3 days. If we know when the start of COVID was, and astrologically we do, That will be over in the spring. We will have done our 3-year, 3-month, 3-week time out on the planet with COVID, right? This kind of time. So,
Okay, so
so
you are
Pluto's
expecting
changing.
then massive changes then in the spring.
Massive changes, big time out.
Yeah.
Do you want to go back to work or not? There's
Yeah.
all these kinds of huge questions coming up. There is no back to normal. If you really look, you know it. You feel it.
Yeah.
You know it in your gut. You do. Here's the good news. That Saturn takes 28 years to go round through that zodiac behind me. And for 2 years, it's for 2 signs, it's in the sign that it rules. Here are the signs at the bottom here of Capricorn, of Capricorn and Aquarius ruled by Saturn at the very bottom of the chart behind me. So Saturn in its 28-year cycles does 6 years of hard work in its own signs. It's still there, but in the spring, it's jumping into Pisces. The last time it was doing that hard work, we saw the fall of the Soviet Union in 89, all the way through till 95. The time before that was the end of the 50s into the 60s. Now, what happens when Saturn goes out of the signs where it's working really hard into Pisces? The next sign is, oh my God, thank God I'm here, I can take a break. And so in the 60s, we saw this great creative burst out of the Beatles and all of that music and things. And in the 90s, there was kind of a great optimism in the middle of the 90s. Everything seemed to be going good, you know, Clinton and all of that stuff, and so much was appearing on the stage. Well, we get that as well in the spring. We get Saturn moving into Pisces for 2.5 years. This is the same time that it takes for Pluto to make its transit into Aquarius. So I want to give these kind of timescales of things. On the big timescales, we're in momentous times.
Yeah. Now, last time we spoke, and this is why I really wanted to speak to you. You kind of, it was at the start of COVID, and you predicted. No, I remember you said it's the same planetary lineup as the 1920s and 1930s. And if anyone that knows that,
Uranus takes 84 years. So Uranus, which is a planet of great unpredictability and change, was going through the same sign now, 84 years on, from where it was in the 30s. Yes.
And if we go back to the 30s, it was a rise of fascism, Nazism, yes. Massive global change.
Yes.
And yeah, and you can kind of see, because I studied history, and I remember thinking, you know, a lot of the years that I lived through in the early part of my life were quite uneventful for me. But now I feel there's going to be volumes of history books written about what we've gone through in the past few years and what we're going to go through. So what do you see? But so what is the, first of all, talk about the astrological lineup. Is it 8? There's so many planets all bunched in the same house at the moment. Is that correct?
No, I could show you if I could. It's they've made their connections already. Seeds have been planted. Pluto met with Saturn in Capricorn, and now Saturn's off on its 28-year circle. Okay, let's get on with change, right? So, and so they meet each other, and when they do, it's like a cross current of waves, of patterns that are synchronistic moments of things. The fast moving everything of the moon, you know, it's just like the waves on the ocean. I'm up, I'm down, I'm up and down. Neptune is the whole ocean, right? That's the whole ocean of deep understanding and spiritual practice. It's changing sign in 2.5 years into Aries. It takes 150 years to go around the signs of the zodiac. We have not experienced something like this. Aries represents a new beginning. That's where Jupiter is right now. So each of the planets is reflecting possibilities. If you already feel that you need to change, Jupiter is visible. I want deeper practice. Saturn, I'm going to schedule new ways of doing things for myself. You know, these are very practical understandings, a certain wisdom that you get from Jupiter. I'm Jupiter. I'm this giant planet. I was always the chief of the gods, you know. Got a problem? Come ask me. I learn from all the experiences that I do. Mars, I'm doing this and not that. Oh my God.
Okay, I remember last time we spoke, you said it was like we're a caterpillar going through the chrysalis. Really turbulent intensity of change. The power structures, established orders were under the microscope. And you can see that's happening. There seems to be, from my perspective here in the UK, there's a lot of distrust about politics now. We're questioning the established.
Oh, absolutely.
We're questioning the established health system and that big pharma and their influence. We're cancel culture is kicking in. You know, we're almost being our the way we think and our freedom to talk is under the microscope. Just the royal family. You know, we've had the death of the Queen. It's under the microscope, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's just the UK. If you look across the world, you know, they're killing, you know, demonstrators in Iran over women's rights, and Peru has just gone into riots as well. I mean, all over. I mean, even in China, we're not taking this COVID lockdown anymore.
Yeah,
you know, so there are huge forces playing, and we can see those in those outer planet moves. We can see the tones of it. We don't get the details, but we get the tones. So there's a tonal shift coming on. And there is, my feeling this year, the start of the emergence. You know, it's probably going to take a couple of 3 more years of things, you know, but it's not like we're back there anymore. We're tired because we've been in the goop, right? That's the chrysalis. We're in the goop. We're trying to swim through, you know. But I can say this, that looking at the planets, and the reason I've got this diagram behind me is the powerful planets are the bottom chakras on this chart. And that for me is getting to grips with your depths, getting to grips with who you are in the deepest sense. And that is not your job. That is not what's happening on the outside. That is a deep inquiry of going inside. And so I've been recommending, and I made a YouTube, and I'll send it to you at the start of the year. You know, you can have a look at this and cut what you want from it. What I talked about was the spring is a time for you to start to do deep practice. And I mentioned the word Kundalini.
Yeah.
Because deep breath work, deep personal practice, I've just been asking everybody to schedule, that's Saturn, some time in your day to go into deeper practice. Breath work, awareness. These are the things you can control. You can't control the politics. You can be a part of a big movement, which may or may not be effective. Or in Iran, you may get hung. You know, it's those are big forces being played out right now. So, but personally, within your sphere of influence, you can get involved in your own emergence. And to me, you have to touch the root. That's where the nutrient is. And it means going deep into your bottom chakras, into the belly. I always ask, how are you digesting? I can't digest. I'm so afraid I can't even breathe down there. You know, I don't know what's going on. Okay, well, breathe down there,
Mm.
get in touch with earth, take your shoes off and walk around on a piece of grass, get some grounding here for your own personal practice. This to me is Saturn's scheduling. You can write your script for the day. I know we all have to keep a roof over our head and do all of that. But if we can start with this place of personal practice and emergence, how do I feel? Am I alive or dead down there? Do I feel joy? Is my sexuality moving? Are any of these things, what's happening at my depths? This is the kind of the lead as a metal that can get transformed into the gold, which is, oh my God, look, when I breathe like this, I suddenly come alive. And
Yeah.
oh, it's happening in my heart. And, I just did a big session with Lisa, and it was all about this, all about her being able to breathe through the situation that she has,
So tapping into your truth and acknowledging your personal power and significance.
Yes. That's what you can do. That Saturn wants you to do that. It wants you to write the script. Are you just part of a 9-to-5 cog? No, I've got power. I have individuality. I can do, I have spaciousness within my structures to do this. That was my message in this emergence of the spring, is take at least, 20, 30 minutes during your day to start to activate your personal practice, whatever that means for you. Bringing awareness really to your body.
Because I've heard in all the spiritual stuff I've said, they say this is the time of awakening.
It has to be.
This global chaos
Yes.
is the end of days and the beginning of new.
It is. And we're really fortunate to be present where we can influence these great times. You do something and suddenly you start to look at life from your heart, and you notice that butterfly that was in the tree that you didn't see because you were so worried about making the train.
Yeah.
Right. You connect to earth. That's where I started this. You connected to the bigger sense of your own presence as part of. And we can call this the most fortunate of times. Yeah. Because in these darkest of times is when a little spark has a huge effect. And you can do that. And that's what Pluto does. Pluto was discovered at the time of atomic energy. From little things, big effects. You make a little spark in your presence, and suddenly you're having a big effect on people around you. And they go, what's that about?
I find this so exciting.
It
is invigorating.
It really is.
It's life-giving.
It's the most tremendous of times, Stephen. It really is.
I do feel that. I do feel every day is so... It's dramatic. Forget watching Netflix and zoning out. Just engage with real life. Yeah.
At one level, I can say a lot of the hard work has been already done in these last few years. It's like Saturn. Okay, I set it all up. I'm on vacation for a little while. Let's get creative.
Yeah.
Right? We've just done some really hard work.
So what everyone thinks of astrology as the future, then, what are we headed towards?
Next couple of years or 7 generations from now.
Next couple of years. Because I think if you look at the day-to-day, if people watch television, it's doom, 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 doom. But I know this is the end of days. I think we've been lied to about a lot of stuff. And I sense there is this awakening when and I always remember the conversation we had 2 years ago where he said, we're gonna be a butterfly coming out of the chrysalis.
Yeah, and the thing is that the butterfly has never experienced what that's like to be that free. So it's very much, oh my God, I had no idea I could be released like this through simply breathing or becoming aware of what this amazing thing is I've got called my body. You know, we look at a flower and go, how amazing. But we are an amazing part of nature and creativity.
Yeah.
We have the potential for self-awareness. We have this potential for visioning. You know, we are the answer. We are the answer. And if you can, you know, look, there was a great thing from the 60s when Jupiter went in. And one song I've been playing almost every morning after I do my breath work is by the Beatles. It's called Tomorrow Never Knows. It was written by John Lennon, and it starts, turn off your mind, relax, and float downstream. It's shining. It's shining.
Wow.
And they followed that up with within you and without you. That song, you know, you are so small, but within you, you are so big. And life goes on within you or without you. Where do you want to go? I've been really taking these messages from these sutras of the Beatles from the 60s songs. So tomorrow never knows.
So
we can be present. We can, the more we're present, the more we're effective. The more we're present, the more we can look from our hearts. Try that exercise. Look at the world from your heart. Do you connect your eyes to your heart?
I love that. That is beautiful. So like you say, this is the best of times, isn't it? If you're on a certain level.
If you're on a certain, and if you're not, it's the worst of times.
Yeah. But but humanity's motivated by pain, isn't it? Sometimes the only way you can shift is, you know, we get indigestion in our body telling us, don't eat that food. I don't want that food. So pain is the indicator, isn't it?
Pain is the, and there's a lot of pain out there. You know, there's a lot of pain going on. And the solutions are, it's like a rebirth. And, you know, in the process of regeneration, you know, one sperm finds its way in to make new life. The rest dies off. Yeah. You've got to be on that one that's going in, you know. You know, that's the vehicle for that. And, you know, the one thing you can control is your personal practice, your scheduling, being heartful, you know, be here now. All of these, we've got, you know, since the 60s, we've got a wealth of knowledge. You know, I mean, I went to India in the 70s, following on from the Beatles, and I knew nothing about meditation. Or everybody knows about this. We're all talking about astrology. We're all talking about the hermetic box of secrets has been unsealed. Yeah. If you want to, go on YouTube and look up Kundalini practice, breath work. You know, we got Wilm Hof. Last time I was in England, I was watching the Wilm Hof guy taking all these stars through their fear processes. I was going, oh my God, it's an encounter group on ITV. Right? It's amazing. It really could be very powerfully emergent. Not everybody will go there, but some will. Yeah.
So just we're coming to the end now.
Say, it's too much pain. I need to take the painkillers, you know.
Yeah. That they don't help. Yeah. So what is the tone for the next year, say 5 years? What do you see in the planets? What is the tone?
I see the big emergence of Saturn and Jupiter in Aries in 2.5 years. Everything changes sign. Pluto will be, these are the outer planets, so these are the big tones. Pluto will be established in Aquarius. What is the new community we want to build? I just went through Capricorn. I just shook up all the systems, but now we have to move into what do we want to build, not what is not working. This is
okay. So it is a process of rebuilding.
Yes, and Saturn has already done 2.5 years there, saying, "Come on, let's rebuild." And now Saturn's hanging out with Neptune. But you have to rebuild according to much deeper vision. I'm Neptune. I'm the deep ocean of understanding. I'm going to go into Aries in a couple of years, where everybody will need to know about this.
Wow. Okay.
This, yes, this is huge.
Yeah.
This is huge. And, you know, the last of the three we don't see, Uranus, and you've got an individual responsibility to do this. Otherwise, you are not sustainable.
Yeah.
You know, you have a purpose here. And it's about this kind of sustainability of connecting to nature. I'm Uranus, I'm in Taurus. We're what's sustainable and what's not. It's not what's new and disruptible, it's what's sustainable, Uranus. The personal planet, Saturn, is setting up structures for us to do this over the next 5 years. I'm going in Pisces, keep on dreaming big, keep on going for it, because I'm going to go into Aries in 2.5 years. Meanwhile, Jupiter says, I just covered all this territory. The teaching's all there. Just schedule it. Just schedule it. Start over. You can do it now. I just went into Aries from on the winter solstice. Get on with it. The fog still needs to clear. This Martian fog is still. So really, it's emergence in the spring.
Yeah.
Set up a personal practice. Who's your tribe? Who am I connected to that I feel, you know, who else can look from the heart?
Yeah.
And I'd have to say that whatever your opinions of the royal family, the drama of what is going on in terms of mental health and hierarchies, you know, you couldn't have a better example of the kind of torture and torment that you know we've set up for ourselves, and how we can emerge out of that. You know, I mean, that whole story is so amazingly, you know, the royalties kind of hold the point often in the mundane astrology because they're so visible of what is going on. So you're seeing with those princes, you know, just the mental anguish and what, he had to run off to California, didn't he? Okay, well, I got some space over there.
No, this is fantastic. If people want to find out more about you then, Deva, where can they go?
www.astrologydeva.com.
Cool. So how'd you find that? Deva has agreed to come back regularly on this show, so we are going to check in with him again at the start of spring to see what is in store for the world across the spring and summer. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and have a great week, and we'll see you back in 2 weeks' time. See you later.